So, hi everybody. We are continuing our discussion for Ask the Doctors month. So, December again is Ask the Doctors, whereas November was Child Safety Month. And so, we are going to have our discussions today with Dr. Antoine Chevalier, which I am so pleased to have in this space because I've spoken with him, interviewed him previously before in different spaces. So very happy to have him here. Thank you for joining me.
Very happy to be here with you. Yeah.
Today we are going to discuss immunity. What is the problem with immunity, or the discussion, the topic around immunity, the overuse of traditional products, what are the risks, safer sanitizing alternatives, what are the benefits, the reliability of COVID testing, and how can the world's population boost immunity naturally and avoid depression? Because again, a lot of people are stuck inside. I am one of them. And where I was an outdoor person before. And so how do I pivot, shift, manage being indoors a lot more than I used to be before? Additionally, don't forget that last week we spoke with Dr. Rob. He also spoke about boosting natural immunity. So please reference those videos. We spoke about PPE and testing with Dr. Shaw the week before that, and then Dr. Emmanuel the week before that. So we have a very long list of videos for you all to reference. They're all about an hour long, so please go back, rewatch those videos. They're readily available on Facebook on Awake, Healthy, Informed, Naturally Inspired, Sanitizing Safety. So today we're going to speak with Dr. Antoine Chevalier. He is known as the White House Doc. I will review his credentials in just a second. He is going to speak about what are antibodies and do antibodies play a role with immunity? What is your research laboratory testing for? His research laboratory. What new data has been covered? Tips for improving mental health and tips for improving natural immunity. He is a doctor and has a long list of credentials. So I don't want to downplay his expertise at all, but he has lots of initials after his name. He's been a functional medicine advisor to the White House for 20 years. He's done research in the United States, Japan, and Europe. He's an international speaker. He's an author. He's a teacher. He's a practitioner. And he's the founder of Heal.LLC. So he is our guest doctor for today. And then, of course, I share this space so lovingly with Jessica Chandler, who is a community activist and a retired president of an autoimmune research and diagnostics company that sets standards with the NIH and more. And then I am your host, Tasha Jackson, of Naturally Inspired, subsidiary of Awake, Healthy, Informed. I also am a K through 12 educator. I have a master's degree in education, and I was a classroom teacher for over 10 years. And so let's go ahead and get started with the interview. So excited to have you here. Thank you. So COVID testing is being pushed by schools for essential workers, teachers, students. In San Diego, testing for COVID can be done as young as 6 months of age. I'm sure many of us have had to have COVID testing or have gone voluntarily to have COVID testing. I've been tested 4 times. I'm going again on Saturday because we have holiday plans. And so and just like everyone else, we all have holiday plans. Everyone is out getting tested and to make sure that they're safe. But are these tests accurate? We're seeing testing on a massive scale, right? One time I was in the line to get tested for 2.5 hours. So can you speak to how accurate these tests are?
Well, I recently got promoted to MIRA Scientific. It's a lab for physicians. And so now I'm on the board. I'm the director. I'm one of the directors on the board. We're only 3 of us. And I also got promoted as a chief science officer in that corporation. And I'm also the director for research and development, functional medicine branch.
Congratulations.
Yes, and this lab is very unique. We are right now the only one in the US who can actually deliver a COVID-19 test in less than 12 hours. So we are at the cutting edge, if you want, on the technology side. So what allows me, though, to have access to is a lot of data. And so with the data, of course, one of my greatest passion in my life is research. So we actually have a very interesting approach to the testing, and so how is it reliable, not reliable? There's always something that we have to keep in mind is we actually do not know still very much about the virus. The virus is new. It does not behave like a regular virus. It does not propagate the way the other virus we know propagate, whether it's coronavirus or the other virus. It's still a lot of unknown. And so this is one of the exciting part of what we are doing now with MIRA Scientific is we actually testing, and then we are researching. So the validity of a test, well, it's trials and errors because we are still learning. And you have the test in the nose and the test of blood tests, etc. It's different kind of test, and it's moving rapidly. The technology is moving rapidly. As soon as we have more scientific breakthrough on what the virus is, what it does, and how it behaves. Like recently, you've seen in the news, there is a new mutation coming from UK. Okay, right. So we need to observe how it does mutate and what kind of behavior, what does it change the behavior. Now, if it's a brand new virus, so is it just a different version of the old one? But we still didn't have enough time to study the first COVID-19 version. So if it's COVID-19 101, we're already at COVID-19 2.0, and so the upgraded version. So we just observing a lot of observation and trying to figure out really what's going on here,
Yeah, and I think heard yesterday maybe that there was the new mutation, and it was
Yeah, and that's a great concern for the scientific community. Where so data right now is crucial. So we are crunching data, accumulating data, we're structuring the database, and then we to basically identify patterns. Let's see what kind of patterns are we going to be able to observe, and some patterns we will be able to scientifically show and publish papers. In peer-reviewed scientific journals, so we can move forward into the knowledge about this new threat to humanity at large, on a grand scale. And so we are, and the facility is in Northern Virginia, close to Washington, D.C., but we are testing in Las Vegas, we are testing in New Jersey, we are testing, we are expanding rapidly. So we're collecting data now from all over the U.S., and we also want to go international also. So.
And I'd like to take a second to just really express gratitude for what you're doing, because of course this research is very important.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
And especially, I'm a very evidence-based person, and so I'm also the type of person that I won't do something unless there is factual information to back it up. And so I really appreciate that, especially the scientific community and the medical community is working very hard and working very diligently to provide this research and to have a scientific basis to have actions to do the things that we're doing. These are the reasons why. I'm a why person. You tell me to do something, my question, why? Okay, now you answered why. Now show me the evidence or show me the research that goes along with it. So, and I know that there are many other people out there that are like me. And so, this research is very crucial and very important. And so I just want to say thank you very much. and also that you have plenty of job security ahead of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I know we really have to focus on this so we can regain our confidence and do business and go back to our normal lives. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's a surreal adventure. There's so much unknown right now. So, the new mutation from England is quite interesting, of course. But no, we have something else that just came, which is also kind of a personal story. I do share an apartment with someone who actually work, with me, and his name is Paul. And then the other also person, Tim, is also a business partner, and he lives in the same building as mine. So, Paul, though, we do share, the apartment. So he got diagnosed with COVID-19 about 7 weeks ago now. And Tim also got diagnosed at the same time. And they both tested positive, and I tested negative. And we took the nose. We also took the blood, and they tested 4 times. And Tim and Paul tested positive 4 times within 2 weeks, and I tested negative 4 times. And so after, when there's a 2-week period where they go into a lot of coughing, diarrhea, a lot of fever, breathing issues, and a lot of fatigue, sleeping for like 15 to 17 hours a day, can't do a thing. I mean, it's very, very, very severe. And there is different reactions depending on the person and where they are with their health. Personally, I had nothing. 0. So Tim was curious to see if I had the antibodies. So we did the blood test after, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks after they got diagnosed. And Paul has the antibodies because, he had the virus. And Tim also had the antibodies. And the assumption was, since I was with Paul and I would see Tim every day, and, I'm exposed to COVID-19 all the time because we share the apartment, and I'm not wearing a mask inside the apartment. Okay. And I shake hands, and, you have to leave within your apartment. So it's clear, very, very clear that I was exposed to it, and massively every day.
Yeah.
So the assumption was that I have the antibodies, because, I'm globally healthy, generally healthy. So they thought that I had it and no symptoms at all. So I must have the antibodies because I was exposed to it for so many weeks and I tested negative. So we did the blood test for the antibodies, and turns out they both have it and I don't have the antibodies.
Interesting. So what is it that whenever we're getting tested, what is it that these tests tell us? Because I've gone, and I've heard different situations, but from my own personal experience, I've had some people just do a very shallow swab of my nose. I've had some people really be very aggressive with how far up my nose they will go. You just have to prepare. And then usually there's some degree of sneezing and coughing after that. And so, 3 days later, I receive a result, and usually it says that you're negative. And so, because I'm home all the time now. So, so what is it really that these tests are telling? What is it that they're testing for specifically that gives the positive or negative result? Because I think that there's still some kind of mystery around that. And then what does that test tell us?
Well, the test is mostly reactions, so they're testing the reactions. So up in the nose, if you're reacting to the virus, the test is reliable. It is reliable. The threshold is 30,000. So if you're below 30,000 or above 30,000, etc. So that way we can actually measure if you have it or not. But it's not like every test. It's not 100% reliable, but it's reliable enough. And the case is in the story I just told you, Paul and Tim, both of them got it. And this is definitely not the flu, okay, because they had the flu before, and the Paul had loss of smell, loss of taste, and Tim, I believe, had that too. These are symptoms that we don't observe usually, and Paul never had that before. Tim never had that before. This is new symptoms, and it matches what we've been observing in terms of pattern: 2 weeks, coughing, etc., and diarrhea, 17 hours of sleep, loss of smell, loss of taste, loss of appetite, etc., etc. So those are, and then the test was corroborating that. So there is validity about the test. But to be 100% definitive is the blood. The blood test is the one, but it takes too long. But the nose test is still reliable. It's reliable enough, and it will tell you whether you are, if you have it or not. That's reliable enough. The point of the story, though, is that I don't have the antibodies, okay, but I still didn't get it, even though I was exposed to it every day. So there is something else that we don't know.
Yes.
That's why some people who are exposed to it will not get COVID-19. Right.
There was
without the antibody.
Yeah, there was a woman. I was in like a networking group, and this woman, she was speaking about her experience because we were just chit-chatting. And she said that she went to an international conference in England where she contracted it back in February, and she went home. And then, of course, it was still very new. No one knew what was going on or what have you. She had it, and she didn't have it very severely. She had like moderate symptoms, but her husband never tested positive ever. So that's yet another situation personally that I know where someone in the house had it, but the other person was not affected.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the research we want to do. That's the research we started doing now. So we're going to publish a paper, a case study right now. We have enough data. And then after that, we want to call the people who were tested positive with the symptoms, okay, so we know for sure they had it. And then we want to have a questionnaire, and we're going to ask them, well, in your family, in your entourage, in your house, did other family members tested positive? And it's yes or no. Then those who tested positive, okay, but those who tested negative now are becoming interesting because they have been exposed to it and yet they don't have it. So we need to do a blood test for these people and see if they have the antibodies. And if they do, then we already have the explanation for that. They have the antibodies, therefore they didn't get it. But if they don't have the antibodies, then we need to find out why these people, even though they don't have the antibodies and even though they have been exposed to it, still are able to fight back against the COVID-19 and don't get it at all. And that is the research. We want to know why. And so we're doing research with Dr. Golda Joseph and also Dr. Aya Nakano in Japan. And Dr. Golda Joseph is in Panama. I have another doctor in Dubai. I have another doctor in Missouri, medical doctor, PhD. And so it's going to be an international research. And that's very exciting because we want to know why. And in the blood, we'll be able to analyze the immune system of a person to see if there is any pattern we can observe through the blood test. And the immune system of the people who are for sure have been exposed to the virus and for sure don't have the antibodies, and yet they don't get it. So that's interesting.
Let's kind of backtrack a little bit and kind of clarify it first, because I was thinking about this. Can you more readily clarify what are antibodies and why are they, how do they play a role in immunity? So
antibodies
I think there's also some confusion around that, as well as what are antibodies?
But antibodies, LGG, LGM is usually the tests we do. And it's basically your immune system learning about the virus. It's like in the coronavirus, it has spines. Those little spines, like a crown, little spine, and it's attaching to the cell and basically changing the cell to become like the virus. So the antibody will basically trick that, stop the virus from reproducing and expanding. So it's a viable way of fighting back against the spread of the pandemic. And this has been already proven. So we know about the antibodies and how it fights back against the virus. But obviously there is something else here that we don't know, and which allow certain people without the antibodies to not contract the virus.
And so
that is very interesting.
Yes. And so in your own personal, because of course we don't have research to back it up, but in your own personal situation, why do you think you have become immune to it? Because again, you've been exposed to it so many times and often, and you continue not to have it.
Yeah. Correct. So that we have hypotheses. So we have different hypotheses. We have different assumptions, but we have to test them against scientific research. So right now, I mean, we took my blood, so they're gonna look into my blood, and then we'll see if we see something that is kind of unusual, or there is a pattern that we can see already. I mean, I'm generally healthy. I have a PhD in natural medicine, so I'm functional medicine. But I'm not. I'm slightly overweight. I mean, I work too hard. I'm stressed out, and I don't sleep as well as I would like to sleep because of my lifestyle. So I'm not in my top shape either. Okay.
Right.
So there obviously there's something else. There's something else that that we are trying to figure it out. I mean, the first hypothesis that we would like to test is, of course, the immune system, right? Because this is something that we already know, that the immune system is our first line of defense. It's the ability to fight back against virus, bacteria, things that are detrimental to our health. So this is our first direction of research. But if we see no pattern, or if we observe my immune system in the blood, and then we see no difference between me, Paul, and Tim, then obviously we're going to have to look somewhere else. But if between Tim, Paul, and me, they see that in the blood there is a clear difference,
right,
and that would be a case study just for like the three of us, just a case study to generate enough interest. And at the end, of course, when we claim nothing, okay, because it's just the beginning, and there's nothing we can claim, there's nothing we can say with confidence at all. It's just an interesting start that there is an observation which leads to further research, and that's where we would love to see this on the 600 sample to start with, until the second phase, which would be 600 phone calls and more, probably more than that, and then having 600 blood tests on people who for sure have been exposed and who for sure don't have the antibodies. And then we do a control study, and always and we see if we can detect something that we don't know. So that's the key, is we don't know really. So we just have to, it's like a blind, going in a room with no light, and you have to figure out the configuration of a room without the light. So we have to figure that one out, which I think is extremely interesting, really.
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting because, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my own personal situation. So I have thalassemia beta traits, and that is to protect against malaria. And so people that have this mutation, and same with sickle cell, have this mutation in their blood, that I don't want to say it's a prevention, but it's a help to protect against the specific virus, right? The malaria virus. And so it'll be really interesting to see if there are people that already have some kind of unknown condition that helps to protect them, that would then fall in line with these other blood conditions.
Right, exactly. And then there is also there's already some people out there online who are saying that certain blood type are more receptive to COVID-19 or not, which I can tell you right now, my blood type is universal. So it's all whatever. So there is nothing special about my blood type right now, for sure. We don't know yet, but we'll see. It could be also like a certain pattern of, how much, vitamin, if you have the right amount of vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, etc., vitamin B complex, or there is something else that could be variable, like selenium. It's just for maybe my blood, I have more selenium or magnesium than the others. Then maybe that's something we can isolate and say that all of a sudden, for this virus, for whatever reason, if someone has a high level of blah, 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 then we might, conclude, or we might see that you are at a lesser risk of, being infected by COVID-19. Although we just, at this point, it still might, it's not conclusive 100% because
exactly.
But if we can see that that could be very helpful, because then it's just a matter of taking maybe a certain kind of, or combination of different, supplements or different vitamins. And then that we would just have to really figure it out.
Yeah. And I think that's important that people know, is that right now I'm just going to use the word speculation. There's just a lot floating around, and there's nothing conclusive. There's nothing definitive. And so things that you hear out there that say, do X, Y, Z, do them with caution, because there's not research to support that.
Yeah, that's why we see the best in the industry. I mean, that's why you really want to look at what the CDC is saying, or the FDA, or people who are real experts, because they usually have access to a lot of data, and they have the capacity to understand how the virus behaves. But the fact that there's a lot of contradictions out there is the proof that we don't know a lot. I mean, there's a lot of unknown out there. I mean, we're just doing our best, to protect our family, protect ourselves, but there's still a lot of unknowns. Time is on our side, though. Time is really on our side. The more we learn about this, the more equipped we're going to be to eradicate it and get rid of it.
So let's switch to the topic of quarantine. So I have 2 questions for you that came through from the audience. So I will tie them together. So what is your opinion of quarantine? And then what can people do to boost immunity and mental health during quarantine?
Meditation. So meditation is definitely something, and I don't mean in a way religious at all. It's a non-religious way. As a matter of fact, there's Christian meditation back in medieval time. It's the word meditation is just simply, closing your eyes, focusing on your breathing, and keep it very pragmatic, very practical. That if you can walk outside, walk. I mean, walking is essential. If you have a luxury to do a power walk every day for like 3 miles, that's one of the best things you can do for yourself. Definitely. And then, of course, you need to, if you quarantine, so you have to stay inside. If you have to stay inside, you need to take vitamin D because you'll have sun exposure. Sun exposure is the best for the body to produce vitamin D, etc. Eat raw food. Okay, if you can eat, organic, GMO-free raw food, raw fruits, vegetables, non-processed food, try to help your immune system to be stronger. So don't fry the food. Lots of hydration. We have a tendency to be dehydrated in our society because we drink a lot of coffee and caffeinated tea, which basically dehydrate your body. And it's an artificial stimulant. You have a debilitating crash usually, and you need to drink more, etc. So there's some form of codependency, which definitely doesn't help your immune system at all. Okay, so hydration is essential. And then, being very affectionate toward your family members, and then being very loving and supporting is extremely important. And meditation is by far something you can do inside your house if you're in quarantine. But if you have the ability to get outside, is walking in nature is by far the best to distress. Also, the thing is you have to be able to manage the anxiety and the depression and all of these negative emotions who do have a detrimental impact on your immune system. The more you worry about the virus or whatever, the more susceptible you will be to be infected by it. And it's not me saying that there's enough science out there to prove that negative emotions do have an impact on your immune system. The very simple example for this, which is accepted by the medical community, is ulcer in the stomach.
Yeah,
you have ulcer.
Second brain.
Yeah, so you say you have ulcer in the stomach. We know that ulcer is caused by stress, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a medical condition in your stomach, but we associate this with a negative emotion. Well, let's just expand on this. How about anger affecting your liver? How about, etc. If you look in the Chinese medicine, it's already there.
Right, okay? Exactly. Because they focus on prevention. Prevention.
Yeah. And so for that, though, the good part is you can control it, though. It's something that you can do. You can control your choice. You can control the choices that you make. So if you choose to meditate for 10 minutes instead of yelling at your child because it's inside the house, doing all kind of stuff, that's a choice you can make. If you can choose not to react negatively to a situation and regain control of your emotional reaction and, learn to, and there's a lot of good courses out there online to meditate, and again, make it very practical. We don't know ideological or religious, just very practical. Just, it's been proven now scientifically that focusing on your breath and meditating has a very beneficial impact on high blood pressure.
Right.
Okay, and that's a medical condition. And then anxiety decreases the anxiety level by a lot. That's very important too. That's something people can do in their home.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, definitely. I mean, I was already meditating before, and I was already finding other ways to, de-stress or change during this time. I live in Arizona, and so we have the most sun of any state. So I'm very fortunate, but there's people that are in the Northeast right now being bombarded by a blizzard. So I have heard. And so whenever people are, I guess, participating with the exercising in whatever capacity they can, what is your opinion, I guess, on exercise and walking and with the PPE? For me, I just go to a park where there's not really a lot of people, but maybe that's not an option for some people. So, what is your opinion on that?
If you have a lot of stress, you do a power walk. Meditation and walking. If you do like a 3-mile walk every day, if you can do that, we're designed to walk. We're not designed to sit down. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you sit down, normally if you look at the hip, it's 360 degree. You have 180 degree in the front, 180 degree in the back. Your spine is designed with your neck, to actually stand up or lie down. Okay. And then when you walk, when you sit down, your head is moved forward. You have to know that every inch away from the chest is 10 pounds. Your head becomes 10 pounds heavier. So if your spine is straight and your head sits on your neck and everything works perfectly, that's fine. As soon as you sit down, When you sit at the hip, it's 90-degree front, 270-degree back. That means your gluteus maximus and all the muscles in the back are hyperextended and weak, and the muscles in the front are short and inhibited. And what happens is your blood flow slows down into your muscles, and they act like a grip on your knees. And you started having a lot of issues. When I deal with people in assisted living, one of the most common surgeries, knee replacement surgery, because there's a lot of sitting down. So if you think about it, you sit in front of a computer, you sit in front of the TV, you sit when you read, you sit when you eat, you sit when you drive. Okay, it's like physical abuse.
Yeah.
Your body is not designed to sit down. It's not. So in other societies, for example, which I had the privilege to travel all over the world and study different people from different cultures, they don't have the health issues that we do. They don't sit. They just, or either they cross legs, but it's like maybe for an hour or two at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But they walk most of the time. So walking is basically restoring the functionality of your body. And then if you have access to a swimming pool, that's even better.
Even just walking around, I heard one exercise tip, even if you have to turn on the TV and just walk in a circle, my daughter, she stays home for school. And so she has PE online, and that's a lot of the things that they do is, walking and things like that. So, any way that you can. So let's go ahead and switch over to the sanitizing stuff. Bring Jessica on. Are you there? There she is.
Hi.
Can I just tell you, I'm going to say it to the world. I love that blue sweater. Every time I'm like, I love that blue sweater. So I'm going to say it loud, and I'm going to say it proud to everyone. I love that blue sweater that Jessica wears.
I love this blue sweater too. It's one of my favorites. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It makes me so happy every time I put it on. My body really, really loves and appreciates it. Especially it's this yummy cashmere. And we've got kind of this at night right now in Vegas here. It's really, really cold at night. Mm-hmm. The sun is nice and warm when it's shining. Yeah. At nighttime it's cold. So it's like putting out that nice coziness.
Nice.
So let's talk about something that we haven't spoken about yet. And so let me just let's do a little recap again, but then let's switch over to the part of this that we haven't gotten to. And so again, it's recommended that in the absence of soap and water, it's recommended to use hand sanitizer at a minimum of 60 to 70%. Some guidance is alcohol level of 60 to 70%. Let me clarify. Some guidance is even higher in the range of 70 to 90%. And one of the things that we haven't spoken about yet is the fact that alcohol is flammable and intoxicating when ingested, specifically the flammable part. So I'm going to talk about this thing that my son received from school that I did not allow him to have. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's kind of switch over to this flammable part, because we've been talking about the intoxicating part for a while and how, especially in children, the liver not being able to process this very well. And so you have children that are being exposed to alcohol poisonings and, they're ingesting it intentionally and unintentionally, things like that. So, and then and
you can get it just from rubbing it on your skin. Your skin is the largest organ and it absorbs right into it. So everything you put on your skin goes into your body. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've spoken about contamination from methanol and 1-propanol. We've talked about how the FDA can issue warnings, but does not have the power to recall the contaminated products. Only the manufacturer can.
Correct.
We've spoken about kids drinking it, and especially teenagers, to become intoxicated. We've spoken about product warnings again, the packaging.
Oh,
flavors, colors. It's very attractive.
Does that have a scent or a flavor? That one, or is it just nice, pretty color?
Yeah, this one does not, but it readily advertises that it's 70%. But then on the back,
wow.
I don't know if everyone can see on the back, it says it's flammable, and this is 2 ounces, and it has a nice little backpack clip on it, and so I would like to spend a little bit more time talking about this flammable part, because maybe this is something that people are not, if you're rubbing it on your skin and your skin can soak it in, then what's the danger?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, in the brief amount of time, it's not going to ignite on your skin immediately. Yeah. However, what happens is it's the storage of the product. So there's a really, really interesting video that I was watching. Was it just this weekend? Or last weekend? It's all kind of running together right now with all this COVID stuff and energies. However, what the National Fire Protection Agency was discussing is that the sanitizer itself is flammable at, I believe it is 62 or 63 degrees.
Wow.
Yes. That is way below body temperature, and that is way below most of the storage conditions that we actually have for these products. I live in Vegas. The majority of my temperatures are well above that 60. Let's go with 63. Let's round it up for easiness at 65, okay? That's not the actual number. Let me put that disclaimer out there right now. That is not the number. I'm just using that as an example to even increase it. My temperatures are well over that. What happens is you also have these fumes that are emitted as well. By the alcohol. And all it takes is the right condition. And those who have any kind of quantity in storage, boom. I mean, I'm sure you've seen somebody in the kitchen cooking, right? And they take alcohol and they pour it and they light it, or like at Benihana, they do it and stuff like that. Yeah. They light, that's at room temperature. All it takes is that little tiny spark.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And so we're sanitizing surfaces with this flammable material. And so that's kind of the point that I wanted to allude to, was that, okay, so, we're putting it on our skin, yes, it's flammable, but, it's soaking into my skin, so therefore it's no longer flammable. But again, we're looking at storage. We're looking at air, it being in the air,
surfaces
being in the air, and then again, we're looking at the sanitizing the surfaces and things like that. And then, Dr. Chevalier, really quick, what is your opinion on, all of this sanitizing all of these surfaces?
Well, so first of all, what we observed, which is interesting to observe, and that there is a decrease this year, more than 60% decrease in influenza and flu. Okay, so why is that? That's a significant decrease. Well, because of COVID-19, people are washing their hands much more. Okay, people are more mindful, so you see the effect. So it's undeniable. Okay, that's number one. Number two, is it because of the hand sanitizer with alcohol and everything we talked about? Is it because of washing your hands, or is it because of social distancing? I mean, there's so many variables, so we cannot really separate which one is really the cause of the effect. Having said that, the hand sanitizer on the CDC, it's 60%. Okay, it says 60% alcohol. Okay. Now, what it does to the skin, though, it destroys the oil. Your skin has also the ability to produce some oil. Mm-hmm. It's oily a little bit, but that oil is extremely important to fight back against the bacteria and the virus. And what those hand sanitizers do, though, they do destroy virus and bacteria, but they also destroy the oil, and it gets your hand very dry. So the skin becomes very dry. So not only the oil is being destroyed by the alcohol and other chemicals that they put in, but also the water is being, it dehydrates the skin. And if you keep doing and like too many times, even the skin can crack. And if you have cracks, that you have blood, a little bit of blood coming out. Now, if blood comes out, then you are much more vulnerable to virus and bacteria. So as in everything, right, there is a balance. Right? Too much is never too good, right? Not enough is not good either. So we need to strike right in the middle. However, we can educate the consumers out there. You can make educated choices of what kind of hand sanitizer you can use. There's a lot of good products out there that are very alternative, that use herbs and certain kind of oil, and they still use alcohol, 60%, but they add natural products, which is, in my view, safer and more effective and more efficient than some of these traditional products that you can find at regular store, like CVS or Walgreens or whatnot. So I think it's very clear that people who are watching, they should educate themselves and do more research on it. So myself, I'm creating a product which is more CBD nano based, and I do have a product right now which is really good. There's very minimum alcohol, and then you add good oils, good herbs, good stuff.
Well, we have knowledge of a product that contains BZK, benzalkonium chloride, which is a natural organic salt. And it does not contain any alcohol. It is all water-based, and it is completely organic. It's completely natural. It's safe. I mean,
very safe.
Very, very safe.
Because if it will be absorbed. Like, it will be absorbed by the skin, and the skin is the largest organ of the body. And if it's absorbed by the skin, right under the skin, you have nerve endings, you have lymphatic vessels, you have blood vessels, you have all kind of, so those toxins or whatever you put on your skin will be absorbed. And so the liver is the one who is processing the toxin. So that means, if the liver becomes dysfunctional, it's one of the top vital organ for your health. If the liver goes down, you will go down. So the toxins, you just there's more research, and there's really good products out there. And also for, skin is very, very important. Very important. And one other thing for the fumes also is I love swimming. And I'm a swimmer. I used to do competitive, swimming when I was in college. And if you swim and there's a lot of chlorine, but not only it will attack your skin and all, but you think about it, when you swim, you turn your head, and then what do? You inhale. You are inhaling the fumes of the chlorine that just evaporates right at the surface of a swimming pool, and it goes straight into your lungs. So after what always makes my friend, laugh, but I was looking for an apartment in metropolitan DC, Metro DC greater area, and then the selling point for the apartment of where I live is because the building has a sea salt swimming pool.
No chlorine.
No chlorine, and like close to no chemicals. So guess what? I can swim. I can enjoy swimming, and I have no side effects, and no, it's not detrimental to my health. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, the thing is, since you mentioned that, people are utilizing bleach, chlorine products for their sanitizing, and like you mentioned, the fumes, that is a very toxic substance.
Yeah,
there's a reason why
right
it has
now,
that warning
especially right now with your lungs, because COVID-19 is very, very vicious on your lungs. It's very detrimental to your lungs. So you definitely you want your lungs to be as strong, as healthy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then to clean up the surface, you have the Kagan machine. I don't know if you've heard about the Kagan machine, which is the water Kagan technology from Japan. So I have that, and it's brilliant. I mean, you can alkaline the water. You have different level of alkalinity you can make from the tap
Mm-hmm.
water, but also you can make the tap water extremely acidic, and that's excellent to clean the countertop and all of that.
Well,
that's powerful enough.
Yes, that's like the what we've been talking about here all along through sanitizing safety and these alternative methods to these alcohol-based and sometimes the toxic methanol and propanol-based products is the the BZK products, the quats, the quaternary ammonium compounds, and these compounds are organic. They're, the BZK is an organic salt. The other ones are, all natural ingredients. And what's wonderful about the quats, it's easy to just say it that way instead of saying the whole long name, is these products, they last 28 days on a surface. Whereas pretty much everything else, you're going to have to do it, daily
over and
over. Something like this, it's wonderful because you can put it on you can use it on everything. We can spray it on on the computers. You can use it on wood surfaces, leather, fabric, stuff like that. It's not getting destroyed by anything. No. We can wash our clothes in it. It's really, really amazing that there are these alternatives out there, and nothing is being said. That's why we have sanitizingsafety.com is to educate the world on what is actually out there, and that there are safe alternatives with a massive amount of research and data that's actually behind it. It's not just some off the top of the head, like, hey, we're just going to mix this stuff together in our, in our kitchen. There's a lot that goes on behind it, and it's
totally.
So that's it's really exciting,
It
is. The thing is that especially BZK stuff, you're familiar with it. It actually repairs the skin, and so we need that mantle on our skin. We had Dr. Ted Emanuel start off this series explaining about the benefits. About not the benefits, but speaking about soap and pH levels.
pH level, yes. pH level, so
can we have that pH mantle on our skin to have the oils, because it is protecting us naturally.
Exactly, to protect
our system.
To protect the oil that is naturally produced by the skin. You need to protect that. You don't destroy it, because that's actually your first line of defense. Not only is, and the skin is your first line of defense anyway.
Yes.
Okay. So you want your skin to be strong and healthy. So one of the things is collagen. Collagen is a very important ingredient for the skin, which is something that, there you go, that you can add into your diet, that you can drink, or you can apply. It could be topical. It could be, there's different ways of absorbing it, because there's the other thing also with the people who are buying supplements is they sell, calcium, magnesium, potassium, etc. But it's one thing to buy the product and then take it every day. It's another thing for your body to be able to absorb it. Okay, and people don't think like this. They don't necessarily think like this, but it doesn't take a lot of research, but it's worth it, because otherwise you just literally taking your calcium, and if you don't absorb it, it's in the toilet. As soon as you go to the restroom,
expensive.
It doesn't make It doesn't
very
make any
expensive
sense.
urine.
Your body, you need to make sure that your body has the capacity to absorb what it needs when you give it to it. Then the other thing is talking about, kind of a lifestyle that we are what we're talking about right now, which is more obviously functional medicine lifestyle, being more educated about the toxins and what toxins do to you. It's true, we lost a lot of lives because of what's going on right now with COVID-19, but we do lose 700,000 Americans because of cancer every day. And we do lose around 700,000 of Americans every year due to heart disease. So 700,000 Americans every year due to cancer, and 700,000 Americans every year due to heart disease. If you combine those two, that's 1.4 million Americans we lose every year.
And you know what? There is nothing we're not shutting our country down in protest of the glyphosates, the Roundup that's being sprayed, all the toxins and poisons that are in our food, the fast foods, all of that, And
it's mostly related to the chemicals and the toxins that is readily available into your food, but also what your deodorant you put here. The aluminum. I mean, that's just like your lymphatic nodes here. Yeah. Okay. It's extremely important to don't put chemicals there, because that goes straight into a lot of breast cancer, well, first of all, the bra for the woman, cut the lymph vessels and the lymph node. And the lymph is just like the blood vessels, it's copycat, except the lymph doesn't have a pump. The blood vessels has the heart to pump the blood. Yeah. But the lymph is the garbage, is basically the body eliminating toxins through the lymph. That's why it's important. Every day you have to sweat, and then you need to laugh. The sweating is the ability for your body to dump the toxins naturally. But your lymph has no pump. So how do you move the lymph through the lymph vessels, which is the perfect map of the blood vessels? The number of blood vessels you have is the exact same number of lymph vessels. Same. So how do you move the lymph? Exercising, walking. That's why it's so important to exercise, because just exercise, so many benefits to walk. There's one of a major benefit is moving the lymph. So it's actually moving the garbage out of you. So if you take a deodorant and you put chemicals where you actually exiting your toxins, it's counterproductive and just plain ignorant. And then you have, toothpaste in your gums. There's a lot of things that can be absorbed inside your mouth. So you want to make sure that your toothpaste is just pristine, right?
Oh yeah, we're going to have to wrap up here soon, but yeah, we can have a whole discussion on ways and what that is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all important because it has to do with, building immunity, maintaining health.
Yeah.
Like that. So,
and of course the makeup products, right?
Yes. Using the natural stuff.
Right.
So just in wrapping up here, because we do have just only 3-4 minutes left. So I just wanted to reiterate the important point of, we've spoken many times about, rubbing the sanitizer on your skin. Today, we put the emphasis on sanitizing surfaces. Here in Arizona, in the middle of the summer, you can cook an egg on the pavement. So I know in Vegas, it also gets very hot because it's also in the desert. And so again, we are trying to bring an awareness. We're trying to bring mindfulness to how we're utilizing these products. What are alternatives? And so again, from my also community activist point of view of coming out and educating the public, and especially parents that are like me, I've spoken many times about my own 2 children and my son being in school in that environment, and then my daughter staying at home. If there are other parents out there that share my same concerns, please look at sanitizingsafety.com. There's tons of research. There's tons of information. You can reach out to us, Jessica specifically, not me, at info at sanitizingsafety.com. Reach out, especially for parents, reach out to the school board, reach out to the PTO, the PTA, the supervising board, the superintendency, administration, reach out to whoever you can and have them start this discussion within their governing bodies of, we're sanitizing the classrooms more than we were before. We're sanitizing our kids. We're having teachers pass these out as gifts. And we are offering alternatives. We're offering, here are these different things that you can do personally for your health, and these things that you can do for the health and safety and well-being of your family. And so, Dr. Chevalier, how can viewers reach you if they have additional questions, or if they would like to ask more questions or continue the conversation with you?
Sure. So it's simple. www.heal.llc. So heal, HEAL LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then, Jessica, you want to give us the stuff one last time for you?
Yes. So I also want to point out, just a reminder that sanitizing safety, we actually do not sell any products. We are strictly a public safety awareness group. We are bringing education, a global awareness to the world about what's these natural, safe, sanitizing alternatives. So just want to put that one out there. I mean, I know what I use, and you can find information online as well, but I just want to put that out there. So you can reach us. You can reach us at sanitizingsafety.com, or you can email info@sanitizingsafety.com.
And then just to give you guys the phone number for the Poison Help, if you know, or you have discovered someone to be unconscious, they have trouble breathing, they're not breathing, call 911. But if they inadvertently or intentionally ingest hand sanitizers or alcohol-based sanitizing products or disinfectants, please reach out to Poison Help. That phone number is 1-800-222-1222. And our next episode is going to be the science of sanitizing, with an industry executive who explains how quats work on skin and surfaces. We are in the process of scheduling that now for after the holidays, because this is a very, very busy time for everyone. And they are also going to be so next month in January, again, the science of sanitizing will also, in addition to that, we'll talk about flammability, stockpiling products, and safe storage of sanitizers, because in Arizona, I don't know about Nevada, but it starts getting hot around April. Yeah. And we're not out of the woods yet. So people are going to be spending their winter.
Do not store that stuff in your garage. Keep it at least in the house where it's cool. Find a cool spot if you have any type of quantity. Absolutely.
Yes. Right. And so that is what we have coming up for everyone in January. Thank you so much to the both of you
Thank you.
For being here, sharing the space with me, dedicating your energy towards this really important and information to get out there and provide people with alternatives, because there are people searching for alternatives, but they don't know where to find that. So thank you so much for both being here with me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Happy holidays.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.